and welcome to another episode of Define Your Health with Danielle Girdano. Strength through knowledge in all Define Nation. I am excited about this series that we are about to start today on dental hygiene. And you guys all know that I am a advocate of having good dental hygiene and how good dental hygiene helps the overall wellness of the body for an active and healthy lifestyle. And I have got two amazing experts that have agreed to join us for this little conversation today. First up, we have Dr. Horsley, and I'm telling you, Aaron you're such a pleasure to speak with, and I'm so glad you're taking time as you're joining us. I think you said from Pittsburgh on a little vacation, so we appreciate you taking time out to talk to us. You are a graduate of Tufts University, a member in good standing with the American Dental Association and the Texas Dental Association, as well as an 11-year veteran of the industry. So, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. And our second most wonderful doctor is Dr. Carol Bates. And Carol, thank you for joining us as well. You are a graduate of the University of Texas, as well in good standing with the American Dental Association and the Texas Dental Association, and as well the American Orthodontic Society. So if I need braces, I could come to you, right?
Yes, sure, within reason, yes.
All right. Well, we are going to just dive right in here and get this show kicked off. And I'd like for both of you to be able to give your opinion here. And Carol, if you could go ahead and go first, what really is your definition of good oral hygiene? And do you see an interest in oral hygiene in age groups? In other words, kids versus teenagers versus young adults versus maybe seniors?
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, good oral hygiene is very important amongst all ages, and we start very young with going over that, teaching parents and making sure that they're taking care of their babies. Definition of good oral hygiene definitely is being consistent with brushing twice daily, and we suggest flossing at least once a day. Of course, that's important. A lot of people don't like to do that, but it really is important. It really is important to visit the dentist. We suggest, again, twice a year visits to the dentist, and it's important to be consistent with all those things.
All right. And what is your opinion, Aaron?
Well, I would say my definition of good oral hygiene is a person who really takes an interest in their oral health. One that, properly brushes, like Dr. Bates had said, twice a day, flossing regularly. And, I absolutely agree. Being consistent and having a regular checkup at least twice a year would all be a part of my definition of good oral health. As far as an age group, that part of the question, I would say I see a bigger discrepancy in someone's oral hygiene interest more by their education or their socioeconomic class than by their age group.
Interesting.
But I would say that, those with more education or from a higher socioeconomic class, they tend to have a higher dental IQ. And overall, an increased interest in their overall health, not only their oral health.
Well, and if you can elaborate on that, what age range do you see the most dental issues, and is that same correlation exist with economic situation?
Oh, I definitely say there's a link there. I would say the biggest need for dental work overall would probably be in the aging baby boomer population. Most of as we all age, we tend to have more dental issues, mostly periodontal issues. And also, a lot of the dental work that was done 20, 30 years ago, a lot of it is failing now. And so I think the statistic that I had heard last was 80% of the dental work that us dentists do are redoing old dental work. So definitely the older population, I think, has the highest need for dental care.
Now, do you attribute to that replacement just use and things naturally wear out, or has the technology really made the leaps and bounds and now we just simply have better materials?
Well, I would say definitely technology has increased by leaps and bounds. But like I always tell all my patients is, any dental work I do, or the greatest dentist in the world, it will eventually fail. There's nothing as good as what you had originally. There's nothing I can do to make it as good as that. So after, 10, 15, 20 years, anything that us dentists build eventually does come apart, and therefore we have to redo that work or find a different solution to that need.
And Dr. Bates and Dr. Horsley, we need to cut away to commercial break. Define Nation, remember that this segment is brought to you by the Highway for Health Project. Childhood obesity and bullying are epidemics that are preventable. Visit highway4health.org and find out more today. That's highway4health.org. Hi, this is Danielle from Define Your Health with Danielle Girdano Strength Through Knowledge radio show. Something that is near and dear to my heart is the absolute epidemic of childhood obesity in the United States. When I was a kid, my dad used to say, if you're not willing to change something or do something about it, you don't have the right to complain. Well, guess what? I'm doing something about it. The Highway for Health Project is a project to call attention to this epidemic, this preventable epidemic of childhood obesity, to give parents the tools and the resources needed to educate and make the best choices possible for the next generations of Americans. Help me. Help me help the future. Visit highway4health.org today. Again, that's highway4health.org today. highway4health.org.
For 20 years, Nordic Naturals has been dedicated to making the best fish oil on the planet. Their motivation? The heartfelt belief that a single nutrient can change lives. Their love for what they do and the people they do it for drives them to do it right at any cost. That means products that are outrageously fresh, obsessively tested, and passionately perfected. Products that taste so pure, you'll love them. Try Nordic Naturals award-winning omega-3s today and taste pure love. Available at natural product stores nationwide or at nordicnaturals.com.
We are back at Define Nation talking with our oral hygiene experts, Dr. Carol Bates and Dr. Aaron Horsley. And Dr. Bates, I want to get into something that I personally believe has a connection with good oral hygiene, and that's the increase of sugar and processed foods the general population is eating more of. And, I'm not going to go into the obesity issue, but I just think these processed foods play into the damage on the teeth and the gums and things of that nature. Can you elaborate on what your opinion is to this, and has that led to an increase in poor dental hygiene in your experience?
Yes, well, certainly the processed foods are damaging to the body and the health as a whole. One thing with the processed foods is there are a lot of increase in the sugar and the starches, that kind of thing, and of course all of that can be damaging to the teeth. One thing I really do notice is more so the frequency of snacking throughout the day. That's one thing. You continue to charge those teeth up with bacteria and sugars, and they just rest on the teeth, and that's really what gets the cavity process going. A lot of snacking type of foods, potato chips have a lot of starches, can stick to the teeth, get trapped in between the teeth, and that kind of thing. It really does need to get brushed out, flossed out, otherwise the plaque buildup can certainly occur. Even healthier snacks like dried fruit or trail mix, sometimes those are very sticky and can get in between the teeth, and acidic foods as well. Pineapple, oranges, those can erode enamel and cause sensitivity. One thing I really noticed, though, is a lot of increase in drinking of sport drinks and any other sodas, coffee, tea, sweet tea, that kind of thing with sugars in it. Sipping that throughout the day can really be damaging and causing bacteria to stay on the teeth and turn into cavities very easily.
So if I can't elaborate on this for just a moment, is your recommendation then simply different snacks or more brushing if parents particularly are concerned about this? Typically snacking, the younger folks seem to snack a little bit more. Not saying that the adults are completely void of that, but what is your recommendation then? More brushing or different snacks?
Really, the problem is with the frequency of the snacking. I don't notice, that would really be my suggestion, to snack less frequently. Have your snacks, have it all at once instead of bits of snacks throughout the day, because again, that continuously puts the sugars on the teeth. The bacteria really likes to stick to those sugars, and whenever it sticks to the sugars, the pH in the mouth, the low acidity, causes those teeth to start to decay. So, if you're grabbing a can of soda or if you're giving children a juice, have them drink it all at once rather than sipping it throughout the day.
So, Dr. Horsley, what is a common dental issue or the most common dental issue that you're really seeing in your practice and over your experience? I mean, is it cavities? Is it gingivitis? What really are you seeing?
Well, definitely, I think the most common dental issue, and probably the one that is underdiagnosed, is periodontal disease.
The common name for periodontal disease would be?
Periodontitis. Well, periodontal disease.
Yes.
I can give you a quick definition. Periodontal disease is an inflammatory disease that affects the gums and the bones that support the teeth. In its early stages, a common term we all hear is gingivitis, and that's specifically talking about the gums, their swelling and their inflammation. People that have bright red gums that bleed easily when they brush or floss, that's gingivitis. And as that is left untreated over time, it can become a disease called periodontal disease. And then periodontal disease has many subsets, and from very mild to moderate to severe. And basically, the ADA was quoting the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention that 47% or 65 million Americans over the age of 30 or older have mild, moderate, or severe periodontitis, and that those over 65, it's probably 2/3 that suffer from not just gingivitis or mild periodontitis, but moderate or severe periodontal disease. And I would say without a doubt that periodontal disease is probably the biggest issue and concern in most dental practices that they see. And treating that and then getting it under control and trying to maintain and not let that disease come back. That's our battle.
Okay. And Dr. Bates, you had mentioned sports drinks earlier, and this is something that I really want to pose to you because we advocate a active lifestyle, obviously, here at Define, and Define Nation is a very active populace. And so do you see many dental injuries or do you have to do a lot of dental work in relation to somebody playing a sport and being either hit with a ball or possibly some type of collision type of sport like hockey or football or such? And if so, is there a particular mouth guard that you think helps, or do you think that more mouth guards help in the prevention of having injuries like that could possibly disfigure teeth?
Oh, yes, of course. We certainly do see several sport-related injuries a year. And, maybe not as many as you think, but there certainly are several that we do see. And very important are the mouth guards. They are effective in protecting the teeth. However, according to an April 2013 news release posted on the ADA website, the National Youth Sports Safety Foundation predicted that more than 3 million teeth would be knocked out in sporting events, but
wow.
Athletes often don't wear mouth guards because some sports don't require them.
And those sports would be, what sports would you recommend to parents that if they don't require it, they should have one?
Of course. Now, I know football requires it, and that's a very important one to have. One thing that I notice a lot of teeth injuries are with basketball. They don't require a mouth guard. Neither does volleyball, baseball, or softball. So, of course, we're dealing with high speeds of ball, elbows. There's many things that can damage teeth in all those sports. So I certainly would suggest mouth guards. A lot of kids may not wear them because they don't think that it's important until the damage happens. There's several kinds of mouth guards, and not necessarily name brands, but there are really the better kind are the custom-made kind that we can make here in the office or refer out to a lab to have made. Custom fit to the teeth. They fit well. You can also get the oil and shape kind where you just buy them over the counter, you put them in hot water, they'll mold to your teeth, and that, of course, better than nothing. And then there's also the other kind that probably don't fit as well, but they're the kind that you just buy straight off the counter and wear them. Sometimes they may need to be trimmed off the back so that they fit the mouth of the smaller child or whatever the case may be, but it really is important to wear something like that to protect your teeth.
Going back, Dr. Horsley, to what you said about really the commonality of the dental issues that you're seeing, what do you believe really is the greatest challenge for adults in particular in keeping good oral hygiene and staying away from those issues that you spoke about?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges for a lot of folks is economics, not getting to a dentist on a regular basis. I think, finding a good dental team and maintaining that relationship is paramount in having a good oral hygiene. Another study from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention is that only 61% of adults 18 and older have seen a dentist in the last year.
Oh, my.
And that includes dental emergencies. Yeah, that includes dental emergencies. So that number may be higher than those that actually go on a regular basis. So that leaves us with probably about 40% don't go to the dentist. And so I think finding a dentist and finding someone you trust and getting a part in their hygiene department and just finding someone that you trust to help take care of your teeth, that's probably the biggest challenge.
Well, that is just shocking to me. That statistic is just absolutely shocking to me. Now, Dr. Bates, do you agree with what Dr. Horsley just said, or do you have kind of another approach to this question?
I actually thoroughly agree with Dr. Horsley. Really, the greatest challenge in adults is the neglect of taking care of your teeth. Oftentimes I'll hear patients say they're only brushing once a day and they don't regularly come to the dentist. And really we do need to teach them that twice a day brushing and flossing and twice a year visits to the dentist is paramount in dental health.
Oh, well, I tell you what, sometimes I brush 4 times a day. I love to brush my teeth, so I'm definitely not one of those folks that you got to worry about.
Wonderful.
All right, doctors, we need to go to a commercial break. And remember, Define Nation, this segment is brought to you by Total Balance Apparel. Harmony in the parts of a whole. Creating, evolving, and continuously seeking balance. Visit them today at TotalBalanceUSA.com. Hey, Define Nation, this is Danielle, and I have to let you guys know about Total Balance Apparel. Harmony in the parts of a whole to create, evolve, and continuously seeking balance in the quality of life and environment are the driving factors and thoughts behind Total Balance. These principles come to life in the designs and the collections. Their 2015 collection is absolutely amazing, totally a trendsetter. Don't just live your balance, wear it. More than a brand, it's your lifestyle. That's TotalBalanceUSA.com. Hey, Define Nation, this is Danielle, and finding nutritional density in snacks these days can be a real challenge, especially for the little ones in your world. When I reach into my pantry, I grab a bag of Wonderfully Raw. Whether it's their Cocoa Rune, Brussels Bites, Dippers, or Snip Chips, I know both my taste buds and my hunger will be satisfied. See the wide variety of flavors sure to please all members of your family at mycocoroons.com. That's mycocoroons.com. And we are back, Defy Nation, talking about some good oral hygiene, and it's about more than just bad breath. But we are going to start with Dr. Horsley as we begin this segment, and that is really adults with busy lives. I think, you had talked about flossing, I think, in the first segment, and that seems to be a challenge for most people to get in, and a lot of people say, I'm just too busy, I have too much to do. What suggestions do you have to have the best oral hygiene possible and still kind of fit it into a hectic schedule?
Well, I think there's three things that I sort of put down as highlights. One was finding a dentist that they trust and going on a regular basis. That is all part of having the best oral hygiene as possible. And also finding dental products. There's so many dental products on the shelves as we go to the pharmacies and all these box stores. And I basically encourage my patients to try a few different ones. One flosser may work better with one individual and another may work better with the next. But there's some excellent toothbrushes out on the market. I personally use Sonicare. I just find it to be a phenomenal product. Oral-B makes a great mechanical toothbrush. I always tell people to stay away from the battery, the AA or AAA battery-operated toothbrush spinner brushes. Mm-hmm. And also there's so many different flossers, from little disposable ones to ones with longer handle like a toothbrush. If you have any manual dexterity issues, those sometimes help. And the truth is that most of these products will work, and the final hallmark point is just being consistent. Whether it's an exercise program or a diet we're following, just setting aside the time every day to do it and being consistent. Those are the big things that will get you into a good oral hygiene for sure.
Well, and I agree with you, and I have to tell you, I think the greatest invention of the 20th century are plackers, the little flossers with the handles. I love those things, and I always have some in my car, and I actually floss as I sit in traffic, so I agree with you.
Well, always two hands on the wheel, but I have to admit I do the same.
Well, sometimes 75 is a parking lot, so Well, and, kind of going off of that, Dr. Bates, one of the things that we really talk about a lot on the show is behavioral patterns, and specifically in children, how behavioral patterns start very early. And if you can establish good habits, good lifestyle early, a lot of times children will take that into adulthood. So for parents that are listening to the show, what is your suggestion in establishing good oral hygiene habits, for their children to carry into adulthood? Hopefully not to be one of the people that only brush once a day or don't go to the dentist.
Exactly. So certainly the first thing we tell parents, as soon as they see teeth coming into the mouths of their babies, you want to start brushing. The plaque, the biofilm can set right away. And of course, the main issue is to get the plaque off of the teeth. Having the child chew on a toothbrush, because, they may not brush that well, but you want to be able to have them mechanically get the plaque off. Sometimes I'll tell a parent, as soon as you see those teeth come in after the bottle or eating, to just grab a washcloth at least and brush the plaque off. Of course, we advocate starting early, come to the dentist. We say, Medicaid, CHIP, they suggest that they want their patients to come in at the age of 6 months. Of course, if the child doesn't have teeth yet, we'll advocate, as soon as you see those teeth, you want to make sure that you're getting the habit of brushing twice a day, morning and at night. And of course, coming to the dentist on regular basis, 6 month intervals, again, to go over everything, make sure they're growing correctly, and make sure that they are keeping the teeth clean. And again, as I said earlier, you want to limit the frequency of snacking all at one time. If snacks are needed throughout the day, obviously when they're children, they need snacks, but not just continuously throughout the day. Again, that leads to many health problems and bad habits that can carry on into the future.
Well, and I find it interesting. Dr. Horsley, you had commented, how flossing is so important. And we talked about kind of, busy lives and such. And something I found just fascinating, and I can't remember if it was Good Morning America or the Today Show, but there was actually a poll done that the number one thing adults lie about is the amount of times they floss every day. And I found that absolutely humorous. Of all the things in the world that you can lie about as an adult, flossing was number one, and it really seems to be like the Achilles heel. And Dr. Bates, I actually want to give this question to you first, as it's Dr. Horsley already kind of commented on it. What is your suggestion when somebody's in your chair and you're like, you really need to floss, and they're like, oh, but I don't like it, that it takes too much time? What is the suggestion that you give?
Okay, well, I agree with the research there saying that people probably lie the most about not flossing. But I do have some people that admit saying that they get their twice-a-year flossing when they come to visit me and my hygienist here at our office.
Wow.
But just like Dr. Horsley said, there's many products out there, like those plaque, those things that go in between the teeth. Those work really well as well. Water pick is something that works very well. There's also the power flosser that uses water and a jet of air, and you put that between the teeth and it shoots out that air, and it can help floss between the teeth as well. So that, like Dr. Horsley was saying, there's many things that you can do to floss your teeth other than just the string, but it's taking the time to actually doing it, and that's where I think a lot of people have the issues. Put that time aside in your day to actually do this flossing.
And Dr. Horsley, do you have anything to add to that quickly?
Well, yeah, I mean, when patients say they don't floss, I usually will look at them and I'll say, well, do you know which teeth you're supposed to floss? And a lot of times they'll look at me like, what are you talking about? And I tell them, look, you floss the teeth that you want to keep. The other ones you don't have to. And it was a little bit of a joke. And then, with all seriousness, I tell them, brushing and flossing, it's a 1-2 punch. One without the other is just inadequate. There is no way you can properly clean between your teeth without flossing or using some sort of flossing tool. And those in-between spaces are one of the main areas where people will get a cavity, and those cavities tend to spread from tooth to tooth. So if you have one tooth that's starting a cavity between, it will often spread to the other tooth. So flossing is so important. I always tell people, spending money on floss and a toothbrush, if it saves you from getting one filling done, it's paid for itself, tenfold. And along with your flossing information, according to the ADA, 40% of adults floss once a day, which that might be on the high end if in some places, and 20% never floss at all. And, of course, there's a very strong correlation between having good oral hygiene and a healthy mouth and proper brushing and flossing. So flossing is super important.
Well, I'm probably the one that wrecks the curve on that one, so I make up for a couple others. How about that? Well, I got to tell both of you, this is just a fascinating topic, and I hope I'm not wearing out my welcome, but I would love to do a second show on this topic and maybe get more into the specific types of bacteria and how it relates to other health issues in the body and overall quality of life for folks. So, Dr. Horsley, Dr. Bates, can I request you to come back for another episode so we can continue this conversation?
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. And if people have questions in the meantime, how could they get a hold of you? Dr. Bates, you want to go ahead and go first?
Sure. Well, my dental office here in Farmersville Dental, our phone number is 972-784-8282, and our website is simply farmersvilledental.com, and we have a lot of information on that website as well.
Great. And Dr. Horsley, how can they get a hold of you if they have a specific question?
Well, there's a couple ways. First way is our website. It's www.harvestdentaltexas.com, or they can reach us at our Farmersville location at 469-812-7100, and our Van Alstyne location at 903-482-7600. 6339.
Well, fabulous. And Define Nation, remember to pay attention to that Facebook page, as we are going to be posting a trivia question for that $500 prize pack based on today's show. So, Dr. Bates, Dr. Horsley, we will talk again soon. And remember, Define Nation, motivated, dedicated, and highly recommended. Bye-bye.